Hey guys, Dante here back with another little video, and in this one I'll be showing you guys the build that I'm currently playing, and again probably will be playing for quite a bit of time because it is tankier than I initially expected it to be. And that build is a Spark Self-Cast Inquisitor. As I said in my previous video, I think Inquisitor is in a fantastic spot right now thanks to the Forbidden Flesh and Flame Jewels that were added in 3.17 that opens the gate to multiple new builds, just because you have such vast access to the other Ascendancy's powers. And in this build, I am thoroughly exploiting that ability by yoinking the Hierophant Ascendancy that gives you baseline for power charges and for endurance charges. Now, that ascendancy being conviction of power. Not only does this give you a tremendous amount of flat crit, but also because you have 4 endurance charges, you get auras, you get fizz damage reduction, and yeah, it makes the build extremely thick. Now, in the showcase, again, like most of my videos, I'll be showing you guys how the build performs in bossing situations, mapping and stuff like that. Now, this build turned out to be extremely tanky. Like, I actually managed to tank the Maven's memory game, which I was not expecting. It was a surprise for me, but I'll leave the clip in the video so you guys can see as well. Now, the build in Maven Invitation and stuff like that, it performs absolutely phenomenal. I did multiple invitations like the ones you're seeing right now, like the Elder one or the Breach one, Elderslayer one or the Breach ones, that basically you do not need to move from the center of the map. You just stand there and you cast Spark, and because we're converting 50% of that to cold, we're literally freezing all the bosses in place. They don't even get to cast one ability. Like you're seeing here, this is a Breachlords Invitation, and as you can see, they are not even moving. They're not even casting one ability, just frozen in place, and all I have to do is sit there and look pretty and kill them. Now, I'm gonna leave you guys to watch the rest of the showcase, and once that is done, we're gonna get into how the build works, the ascendancy, the gear, the gems, and everything. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy, and I'll see you in a bit.
What's this? A real challenge? You've finally caught my attention. A fellow exile. One more fool under Zana's sway. Allow me to destroy you before she has a chance to betray you too. At least, my way will be quick. You slew my friends. You brought ruin to my world. You have invaded my very center. I should be furious, and yet I feel nothing. How boring and small. Destroying you is as easy as flicking a pest. Did you really think this would work? I transcended all this long ago. Feel the thrill of
the void. Why run? What's the point? Your lives are meaningless. Watch beauty crumble.
impressive. But now you will fight on my lands. You assumed I share the same weakness as my fellows. And now you come to me. Is it bravery or foolishness? You will long for
Non-existence. Reign of stars. Everlasting fire. Glorious flames. Be silent.
Okay, welcome back. I hope you guys enjoyed the showcase of what this build is capable of. And now, without further stalling, let's get right into the elephant in the room. Yes, this build is using a Mageblood. And Mageblood. A blessing and a curse. This build solves so many problems for so many builds. I kind of feel bad for using it. I'm thinking of a new build after this one, and that one does not involve a Mageblood, but we'll see. But yeah, this build revolves around having a Mageblood because I have Dex, Attributes, and Auras, plus having like 4 OP flasks. Full disclaimer. Now, let's get straight into the character. Then Dante's Longcock, my character name. It was the character I used for cast on crit, and now I respect it into Spark with a few changes. So for the Ascendancy, we are using we're pathing towards Righteous Providence and Inevitable Judgment, which means critical strikes ignore any monster elemental resistances, which means basically you always have a steady damage for bosses because you always crit for this build. Like I managed to get 100% crit on the Spark, and also their resists literally don't matter. Then onward to Sanctuary and the Pious Path, which gives you a tremendous amount of regen, so that allows you to sustain RF without even like thinking about it, combined with having 90 all res and 75 chaos res. Okay, so we're gonna get into the tree now. As you can see, this is more like of a skeleton of a tree. It is very, I don't know, the wording, it's kind of basic in a way, but very interesting in another. Now, as you can see, I am pathing all the way up here on the right, getting a large cluster getting the jewel slot and specking into nimbleness, getting the mastery for spells they can intensify, have +1 maximum intensify, pathing all the way up over here for the reservation. And because I didn't want to go low life, and I decided to take the reservation here, anoint this, and also reservation over here. The mastery here, I'm using 8% increased damage for each aura or herald skill affecting you. Pathing all the way here, getting some life, and then getting crit chance and crit multi with 25% critical strike multiplier against unique enemies. And then pathing down here, getting another resist. Another reservation wheel. And getting auras from skills have 15% increased effect on you. Pathing over here, getting a unnatural instinct. We're gonna get into the jewels just a bit later. And over here, I am using Potency of Will with skill effect duration, pathing for some life. Over here, I have a hazardous research with corrupted blood, so we don't have to worry about corrupted blood. And over here, another cluster with another silver. We're gonna get in the jewels again a bit later. Over here, more crit multi, life, reservation, aura effects, stuff like that. And that is the basic of the tree. Nothing too fancy, nothing too special, or just aura reservation, aura effect, and clusters. Now, let's get straight into the jewels, because I've been postponing them, even though I really want to talk about them because they're so complicated. So let's start with this large cluster over here. This large cluster is Prismatic Heart, Snowstorm, and Widespread Destruction. Now, because we're using Spark, Widespread Destruction does literally nothing in regards of AoE, but it does with elemental damage. But we're kind of short on points. I'm not gonna take this, and instead I'm just gonna take some more life, or spec into more crit multi over here and stuff like that. But yeah, the main thing is Snowstorm, 8% of lightning as extra cold, and Prismatic Heart for resist and melee damage. Same thing over here. It's basically a clone of this one. It's exactly the same. Prismatic Heart, Snowstorm, and Widespread Destruction. Moving to the mediums, I have two types of mediums. One is aerodynamics, so you can get additional pierce for your spark, which is very important, with repeater. And then the second type of medium cluster, I have pressure points and precise retaliation, combined with pressure points and precise retaliation. Exactly. Now, why precise retaliation is because I am 64% chance to block attack damage, 62% chance to block spell damage. That is with glancing blows. Now, this gives you a good balance between crit chance and crit multi. So if you don't crit, I mean, if you haven't blocked, you get crit, then you guarantee your crit and stuff like that, but you're 100% crit all the time, basically, regardless. So it's just like 30% crit multi. Combined with pressure points, just 5% chance to deal double damage and more crit chance. And yeah, those are the mediums. Going to the small cluster, I have a pretty expensive jewel here because the build does need a lot of reservation, so this one helps. It is a 3 passive increased mana reservation efficiency of skills, item level 84. Now, I said it is pretty expensive. And it goes for like, I think it's like 6x or something like that. Yeah, it's like 6.5, 7x. But you could go cheaper with a lower item level and just get 25% increased effect instead of 35. And the large notable is Electric Presence, which gives 50% increased mana reservation efficiency for Wrath. And the other ones is just what I got. I got all res, mana regen, and 35% increased effect. Now, I said you could go for 25% increased effect, but then you won't get, I cannot guarantee you will be able to sock it in all your auras. This is why I said this build, I was debating between making the guide on this build because one, it's very expensive, two, it is so tight on the mana that I have a hard time recommending this build unless you know what you're doing. All right. So those are the clusters, and for the unique jewels, I'm using a Forbidden Flesh and Flame with Conviction of Power. Conviction of Power is a Hierophant Ascendancy, like I said in the beginning of the video, which gives you for minimum endurance charges and for minimum power charges. Not only does this give you a tremendous DPS output because you get flat crit from the power charges, you also get a tremendous amount of defenses from the endurance charges, all res, fist damage reduction, and all that good stuff. Now, over here I have a melding of the flesh, or how Chad likes to say, molding of the flesh, because this jewel gives you, like, if you get one resist to 90%, then all your resists go to 90%. The downside is minus 74 elemental resistances. Now you have to compensate with that. Now I took the easy way out of compensating for those minus 74 resists with a Mageblood. I'm gonna get that in a bit. And for this one, like I said, it has the Reservoir Corrupted Blood. And for my Watchers, I am using double Zealotry, cast speed, and Consecrated Ground causes enemies to take 10% increased damage. Now, this is surprisingly cheap since I bought it. It's like 8x now, but I bought it for 4. So for some reason, they're going up in price. But yeah, I bought this for 4. It was really, really cheap. And the benefits of cast speed, because I think cast speed is king when it comes down to Spark, because the faster you cast, the faster your projectiles get out and stuff like that, and more projectiles hit the boss and yada, yada, yada. All right. Down here, I have a Unnatural Instinct, which gives us, like you can see here on the right, on this side, wait, this one over here, it gives you like spell damage, accuracy, it doesn't matter. It gives you cast speed, life on kill, movement speed, proj damage, and a boatload of devotion. Devotion comes from our Militant Fate. Our Militant Fate basically gives us Inner Conviction, 3% more spell damage per power charge. And we have 4 by default, so that is 12% more spell damage, right? Now, I also divine mine quite a bit, so I get Cloistered, which is immune to elemental ailments while on consecrated ground, while if you have at least 180 devotion. Now, as you can see here, I have 185 devotion, but if I remove the Unnatural Instinct, I have only 100. So because you put the Unnatural Instinct over here, then you got, it allocates all these points, which basically gives you enough devotion to be element immune while on consecrated ground. Because of the Ascendancy, we're basically element immune all the time. Huge, huge, huge bonus. Alrighty, and over here I have a Thread of Hope that gives me Divine Shield and Lasting Blows. Like I said in my previous video, like stacking armor and stuff like that with Divine Shield just goes hand in hand. It feels really good, and yeah, really, really, really good keystone. So that would be it for the tree, the jewels, and stuff like that. Let's get into the gear. For the gear, I am using a Nebulous, which needs to be divined. 20% increased lightning damage per 1% lightning and cold res above 75. So I go up to all the way up to 90%, which means a boatload of damage. Now the implicit, the best one is crit multi, cast speed, spells have a chance to deal double damage, and of course explode, but those are extremely expensive, and I didn't really want to go that much overboard with this build, because this build is actually really expensive. For my gloves, I am using pretty basic gloves, really. I just bought these gloves with Fracture Strength, because Strength gives us base crit because of our Ascendancy, right? 1% increased critical strike chance per point of Strength or Intelligence, whichever is lower. In our case, Strength is lower, so we get a lot of crit from Strength. I crafted these gloves just by buying the Fractured base, spammed Chaos Resist until I got a second good resist, and then a second good resist and life. I got T2 life. I was happy. I crafted on Socketed Projectile Gen, so projectiles pierce an additional target. And also I made the implicit with projectiles pierce an additional target, giving 2 pierces for 1 item. Really good. This can be improved even greater by having 2 pierces in the implicit, giving you 3 pierces from 1 item. And then Unnerve, just because Unnerve works well with spells. For the boots, very basic boots, like double elevated. It's pretty expensive, but not as expensive as last league. It's only expensive depending on your RNG, to be honest. So yeah, Tailwind, Onslaught, Res, Movement Speed, Elusive, like nothing really too out of this world. For my shield, I am using an Aegis, which is probably the best shield for this league, to be honest. It just goes so well and fixes a lot of problems for a lot of builds that can use a shield. I bought it corrupted for physical hits taken as cold because I have 90% cold res and all the other resistance and stuff like that. So it just goes really, really well. Mitigates a lot of fizz and gives you a lot of EHP. For my amulet, I am using a almost perfect Ashes of the SARS, which with 30% increased qual and 20% increased reservation. Anointed Charisma for more mana reservation efficiency. For the rings, I am using a Call of the Brotherhood with which is catalyzed and has bleeding cannot be inflicted on you. Even though you have corrupted blood cannot be inflicted here, you can still bleed. You can still be bled. Now that prevents it. So the major downside of this build and really the weakness, it is I want to say damage over time, but like the Searing Exarch, Burning Ground, whatever, that chunks me. Like the Degen from Sirus, that also like drains me really quick. And but other than that, the build is really, really rock solid. For my second ring, I am using a Onslaught ring on hit, just to get more cast speed with Chaos Res, minimum frenzy for even more cast speed, life, and non-channeling skills. For my helmet, I crafted this helmet. I got pretty lucky, to be honest, on the suffixes. It only took me like 30, 40 fossils, not fossils, essences to get hypothermia, and then I did a reforged caster, which guaranteed me critical strike chance. Because it's only 83, it cannot go up to 3% base crit, so I decided just keep this as it is. I did a suffix cannot be changed, Veil Chaos, I got a Pierce, great, crafted life, I'm happy. Now, for the chest piece, this is a very interesting craft. I bought the base with 100% increased global defenses and an extra prefix. I proceeded to YOLO a null, and I actually hit the second prefix, which allowed me to do can have multiple crafted modifiers. I crafted life, and life is extra ES, and then I did my implicits, and then I did the Eldritch Chaos, and basically re-rolled all the suffixes until I got something that I'm happy with. Now, because this build is very dex dependent, I really needed a lot of dex, and this was a place to get it. So I got dex, some spell suppression, and lightning res. The chest really needs the +3 maximum cold res, because without it, you're only at 87%, and that you can imagine it drops your EHP a little bit, or maybe quite a little bit. But yeah, that's how you get 90%. You get +5 from the Aegis, you get Purity of Ice, and you get the chest, and you're at 90%. Okay, so that is the gear. Like I said, I'm using a major lot, so let's get into the flask. Because I managed to get crit capped without a crit flask, I'm using a granite flask, a amethyst flask, which gives me chaos res, and I crafted additional elemental resistances. On the granite flask, I have increased armor. On the movement speed flask, I have reduced mana cost of skills. And on the ruby flask, surprisingly, ruby flask and any other elemental resist flask gives you a tremendous amount of survivability because you take reduced damage from that specific element. Now, and on this one, I got the craft speed plus increased FA, which, like I said, cast speed is amazing for Spark. Now, with that being said, let's get into the gems. All right, so starting with the helmet, where our Spark is, I'm using Divergent Spark, which gives you 2 additional projectiles. But thanks to Ashes, we get actually 5 additional projectiles, which is huge for clear, it's huge for single target. It is amazing. Linked to Divergent Inspiration for reduced mana cost, Awakened Spell Echo, and pinpoint support. No alternate quality, just projectile damage. And yeah, you get an additional link from the helmet for hypothermia, and you deal 30% increased elemental damage, and you get 2 flat crit. So that is the setup for this. It is better than running a 6 link. In my scepter, I am using Divergent Divine Blessing with Divergent Haste and Inspiration. Now, you might notice that I do not have the mana to cast my haste. And how do I cast it with 19 mana even though it costs 88? Well, we're gonna get into the second support, which is Phantasmal Sigil of Power. Now, it's very important to be Phantasmal because it gives you 25% reduced mana cost of skills while in area, and it gives you 50% increased spell damage. Now, when you pop this bad boy, you see that haste costs no mana, so you're free to cast it. Also, you get a big buff to your spark, so that's how you do. But when you're here in the sigil, you do not get inspiration charges. So ideally, you would like get five inspiration charges. Go back here, cast this, cast haste, and you're popping off. So that is for that. Now in the gloves, like I said, I have Phantasmal Sigil of Power. Very important to be Phantasmal. Linked to Anomalous Mortal Shell, Anomalous Defiance Banner, and Vitality. Now Vitality is not all the way leveled up because of the mana reservation. Now you need to level these up, like you see mine is level 13, because if I level it up, I am not able to cast it. This is an issue that I haven't yet been able to fix. And I don't think I'm going to bother with it, to be honest, because the build already performs exceptionally well. In the boots, I have a Empower level 3 to Anomalous Smite. Anomalous Smite gives you a skill effect duration, which means the smite lasts longer. And by default, Smite gives you a bunch of added lightning and, yeah, big damage boost. Linked to Empower, faster attacks, and Divergent Righteous Fire. Now, I am not using Vile Righteous Fire because it is not needed. I use just the normal RF, which is Divergent, which gives you 50% increased spell damage. Which, you guessed it, boatload of damage. In my shield, I'm using Flame Dash, Divergent Arcane Surge, which means Arcane Surge lasts 10 seconds. Although I kind of forget to use it on a single target sometimes, but it's nice to have. And Anomalous Assassin's Mark. Anomalous Assassin's Mark gives you 10% increased damage against marked enemies. Now, it does mean I have to self-cast it. If you're a lazy player like me, but stuff like that, you could use, instead of Arcane Surge, you could use Mark on Hit, even though that lowers the effect of the mark. And in the chest piece, I am having the auras, which is an 8/4, Divergent Temper Shield, which gives us a lot of spell block. It gives you +5 thanks to Ashes. Now, very important, if Ashes is only 29 quality of all skill gems, then you will get only 4 chance to block, not 5. Anomalous Zealotry just gives more crit multi. Anomalous Wrath gives aura effect, Determination, and Purity of Ice to get 90% max res. So that is it for the gems. There are a lot of alternate quality gems that I'm using. Again, this build is pretty min-maxed and it's really, really good to play. It's really fun. I love Spark. I haven't played Spark since the Delirium League. And yeah, it's just a pleasure for me. But it's one of those skills that you need to like to want to play. Now, with that being said, let's get into the POB. All right, so here we are in the POB. I imported it real quick, did the configurations. So as you can see, I am at 80, almost 19 million total damage, which is really, really good. Now, I would really, really like to get like at least 8 casts per second, but that is proving to be rather difficult. And it would need a lot of min-maxing, getting a better nebulous with cast speed and stuff like that. We'll see how I go from here, if I go any further from here, because the build is already performing formidably well. So yeah, as you can see, 100% crit chance, 7.24 cast per second, 2.6 million per spark. And we go here, put it over here, you can see the damage. All the gems that I have, blah blah blah, and going into the configuration, I didn't take power charges because the POB already calculates it, because we have the Ascendancy conviction of power. So I can take this all that I want. I will take this because I have one power charge, one frenzy charge, but like again, POB just already calculates it because of the ring, right? So this literally does nothing. You can level 1, but it's like whatever. Endurance charges, again, it's already calculated. 85,000 armor, 90% face damage reduction, effective hit pool 468,000, effective maximum hit taken 153k. This is probably the thickest build I ever played, and I absolutely love it. So yeah, Onslaught, yes, from our ring, Tailwind and Elusive from the boots, Consecrated Ground from the Ball of Fate, and our Ascendancy, very important. Crit recently does literally nothing. Have you been hit recently? Does literally nothing. Have you blocked recently? Because we got a lot of block. Enemy is chilled, yep, all the time, even frozen sometimes, but I'm not gonna take that. Shock, I put it at 30 because you can reliably get 30% shocks on bosses, like easily. I even got like 35 something on Maven, which is absolutely ridiculous. So I'm just gonna leave it at 30, but it can go even higher. Enemies are nerfed from our gloves, obviously, and is enemy in consecrated ground? Yes, because of Battle of Faith and the Ascendancy. Intensity stacks 4 because you just stand there and cast, and Sigil Power 1 because it doesn't go further than that. So yeah, that is the POB. Hopefully I can improve it a little bit more as the days goes by or something like that. But yeah, that will be all for this build, for this video. I hope you guys find it enjoying. I am not too sure if people are enjoying seeing guides with or build videos with Mageblood. Let me know in the comments if you, what are your thoughts about Mageblood? What do you think when you see a video that has a Mageblood? So yeah, without making this like an hour-long video, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys found it informative, and maybe you can replicate this build without a Mageblood. I would be extraordinarily happy to hear that you managed to do this without a Mageblood. And yeah, I hope you guys have a wonderful day going forward. And as always, if you have any questions or concerns, drop them in the comment. I stream almost every day on twitch.tv/Dante00151. Hop there, say hi, ask me any questions you want, stuff like that. I also have a Discord server. Link will be in the description. As always, feel free to drop by, say hi, whatever. Have a chat on Discord, talk with the boys. And yeah, until next time, as always, take care and stay safe.